I just hate when this happens. I want to play a game which is considered great by many, and I just stop playing it after I put many hours into. A month ago, I was asking my viewers which classic RPG should I play, Final Fantasy 1 or Xenogears. Xenogears won the voting, so I jumped right into it, as it was on my backlog for a while. I love RPGs, so what could go wrong? Well, Xenogears on the PS1 is considered as one of the greatest RPGs of all time, with a deep and unique story. But after 25 hours of exploring its world, uncovering its mysteries, and diving into its unique combat, I just put the controller down and turned off the game. Something about the experience just didn't click for me. Was I missing out on a masterpiece, or is Xenogears is not that timeless classic it's made out to be? Stick around and I'll tell you why this game both captivated and pushed me away after 25 hours, and whether it's worth the 60+ hour journey for you, if you're thinking about picking it up. Welcome my fellow gamers out there, my name is Mr. Zosta, welcome on my channel where I review great games. Before I jump into my personal experience, let's see what Xenogears is all about, and why I placed on my backlog in the first place. First of all, because it's an old school RPG, and I love RPGs. The game has been released in 1998 by Squaresoft, the company who released many iconic RPGs like Chrono Trigger, the Final Fantasies, Trials of Mana, you name it. Xenogears is known for its complex story, philosophical themes and unique combat system, and also praised as one of the deepest RPGs of its time. Good narrative, a mixture of traditional JRPG and mecha elements, the music has been composed by Yasuhiro Mitsuda. So, on paper, I was up to something really special. However, when I sat down and picked up the computer, I started to play with a neutral mindset. I don't try to hype myself up to be disappointed later. First of all, I had to say that I'm not into giant robots and mecha stuff at all. I was never interested in the theme, never watched cartoons or movies when I was a kid. But this did not stop me to play this game, and I jumped right into it. The story behind Xenogears is really interesting and unique. It is definitely not your average RPG story where you have to kill a god or save the world from an apocalypse. The intro starts with a space scene and with some strange things are growing on a spacecraft. I found this very cool straight away and made me curious what the hell is happening there. This is the typical intro which does not really explain what is happening, where are you, but gives you enough information to spark your interest. This happened with me as well, and when I seen this scene, I really started to enjoy the intro. After a cut, we have a different view, which is even more better. Just look at it. The falling stars or debris from the spacecraft falls into the sea while the sun rises. The waves of the ocean kiss in the sand. It is just beautiful. Oh, and there's a naked girl standing there too. I not even noticed it before. After the intro, we can read some background story of the universe where the game takes place. I have to say this is the most creative and well designed thing which I ever seen. It is just beautiful. Look at it. When we jump into the main story, we can see a nice peaceful village which is going to be destroyed by giant ass robots as they are going to start a fight there. I said earlier that I do not really like these mechas, but I had to say that this is quite cool. Not a destruction of the village, but the contrast between the medieval houses and the giant modern robots. The two things are so distant from each other, and this is what makes the scene very cool. When the actual game starts, you find yourself in the peaceful village of Laham, where everything is nice and quiet. You can play rock paper scissors with the village champion, and there will be a wedding tomorrow, so you start with the preparations. Oh, and by the way, it turns out that the bride is falling for you. Or at least it seems. At this point, I had an idea what is probably going to happen. I'm going to run away with the bride, or somehow I had to save her and we will be in love together and we'll save the world. But there was an unexpected twist straight away. Minor spoiler alert here guys, so skip ahead a bit if you don't want to hear what happens next. Okay, so here we go. At the day of the wedding, some giant robots arrive and start to fight in the village just as we see it in the intro. And eventually you decide to help with the evacuation and eventually climb into one of the robots and fight the intruders. It seems that the robots are not against the village, they are just having a brawl there. As you fight, you realize that you have some special powers which cannot really control, and this happens. Damn, what a start! At this point I was really enjoying the game and I already loved the story. What I found unique in this game is the mixture of medieval and futuristic technologies and premises. Once you wander in a desert town, next time you are on a futuristic sand submarine or inside a giant mecha. I never seen this before, and first I found it to be distracting, but it worked well for me. There's very good variety in the scenery, from jungles to cities to underground caves, castles, and of course the must-have place in every RPG are the sewers. I had to mention a small but important thing, which is the camera movement. There were some nice cinematic camera transitions at some places. It is a small detail, but added a lot to the overall experience. I really loved it. Combat is a bit different from other RPGs. It is your traditional turn-based combat with a twist. You can give orders how you are going to attack the enemy, how much energy or fuel are you going to use if you are in the mecha. The more you fight, the more so-called death blows you will learn, which are basically button combinations. If you stack up these death blows into combos by using action points, your attacks will be devastating. I found this cool and a fresh take on the concept of the fighting. Of course, you can have magical attacks and special moves too. When you fight with the mechs, everything is the same. You have normal and special moves. Your moves are cost fuel, and if you run out of fuel, you cannot fight. However, there is a way to recharge it while you are in combat. I have to mention the MECHAS or gears as they called in the game. Use the giant robots sometimes to fight, to move somewhere, and you have service and upgrade them between fights. You can change their engine, their armor, their weapons, just as you would with a normal human character. What a stupid thing to say, you cannot change an engine in a human, but you know what I mean. It's an interesting concept, and if you are into tuning up giant robots, you are going to love this. I only said positive things about the game so far. So you can ask the question why I stopped playing it after 25 hours. Well, I can say that it did not click with me, but I think this would not be a proper explanation. I enjoyed the story, but the game felt too long and the pacing became an issue. I felt that there were parts in the game which did not add much to the story and it dragged for way too long. I read some opinions on Reddit about the too long cutscenes and that you can basically put a tape on the X button on the controller to skip a lot of conversations, but this was not an issue for me. If the story is engaging, I don't mind these. But there were parts which felt not necessary at all, like the real-time combat scenes with robots. Okay, from the 60 or 70 hours total gameplay this is just a fracture, but in an RPG this is not necessary. The turn-based combat were okay, but this is not. And as the pacing was slow, I was constantly waiting for something major to happen, a twist or anything which would spark my interest to keep going. But unfortunately, these are happened way too rarely for me, and I lost my motivation to keep going when these are happened. I'm sure that you know the feeling when you're playing a game because you really enjoy it and you're curious what is going to happen, or you're just playing it and waiting for something to trigger your interest again. I still had about 35-40 hours to go when I started to read some Reddit comments about what to expect in those coming hours, and I had decided to put the controller down and stop playing Xenogears. Not because it is a bad game, it is not, it is just not for me. While I feel bad about it in a way, because I really wanted to experience the whole game from the beginning to the end, I have to accept that it's okay for a critically acclaimed game not to click with everyone. So, should you play Xenogears? Of course, it is not a bad game. If it would be, I would not play it for 25 hours. There are no major issues, no bugs, which will make the game bad. It has its flaws, but nothing major. But before you jump in and start to play it, consider the following. If you are looking for fast-paced gameplay or shorter RPGs, it may not will be the best choice for you. However, if you have time and do not mind what I mentioned earlier, give it a try. Have you played Xenogears? What's your take on it? Did you love it or did you find it hard to finish like I did? Let me know in the comments below. I'm genuinely interested.